Sometimes it results in physical movements because when people deal with challenges and issues, um, whatever was preventing their progress, physically, materially, whatever, sometimes getting the cobwebs out of the way, they actually move forward physically. Right. So that is, for me, a little bit about what coaching is. And I'd like to introduce you to the evidence-based coaching approach that that our business practices, and it's really based on 4 pillars. And it talks about um, the core coaching skills, which I hinted at a little earlier, whether you're listening, asking, designing actions, measuring outcomes. Um, and that's basically to help your client to move forward. But in all of this, the client is most important. Yes? Um, the client is most important. So you never do anything, or we try not to do anything that the client doesn't want us. It's all about what issues, what subject you want to manage. And usually it's the client, the coach is following the client. What do you want to talk about? What are the things that are getting in the way? What is it you need? Or what are you doing that you need to do better, or to get to the top of the game? And then it's also how the coach uses himself or herself. Self-understanding. Do you go to a session with all your issues and you're not listening to your client? You don't understand, you don't know what the person is saying because you're thinking about some problems that you had just before you started. So it's a capacity to self-correct, your integrity, ethical coaching behavior. So, for example, do you have um, sometimes organizations hire coaches to do work, and the manager has an invested interest. Maybe he or she wants to get rid of the person, and they say, well, we have made a decision already. We just want you to come in and do something to show that we have tried our best with the staff. But at the end, we want him out. So those are like some ethical issues, because the question is, are you going to remain just because you want to have that money to say, okay, well, I'll go along with you. So, that's just one example of ethical coaching behavior. And as I mentioned earlier about sharing what you are working with a client on with someone else who knows the person, or just anybody for that matter, because it's not supposed to be used as an example in any discussion. And then we have the theories, the traditions, the tools. And so some of the theories could be as listed here: organizational theory, leadership, whatever it is. And the coach needs to have that knowledge base, yes, to understand when you listen to a client, what is it? What is coming out of those discussions? And to be able to identify what those are, and maybe to apply whatever theory you can to help that client. So to move on very quickly, so that is the coaching as intervention from the evidence-based coaching perspective. Does anybody have any question at this time? Any questions? So we could move a little, I just need to understand how much, okay, just let's go to the assessment. The question for the poll. In what context would you use assessment tools, and which assessment tools are you familiar with? Anyone in the group wishing to contribute to the presentation yes, anybody? In what context would you use assessment tools? And maybe I should just pull the question a little bit more to say, do you really need an assessment tool? If you're coaching someone, do you need an assessment tool? While you think about that, we could ask you just to watch this short video, and it's about the Berkman tool.
People come in all shapes, sizes, and personalities. Many of the biggest challenges we face in daily life come down to our interactions with a diverse mix of individuals that are so different from us that they might as well be aliens. Don't you wish there was some way to crack the code to personality and better understand the way people act? What if one assessment could help you understand the personal strengths and needs of people, including yourself, and give you the insights you need to live up to your highest potential? Welcome to the Berkman Method, the only personality assessment that goes beyond the behavior we can see to reveal the critical DNA that drives productivity and satisfaction. Used by millions of people worldwide, the Berkman Method combines the most reliable and scientifically valid behavioral and occupational information into one assessment. Your interests and behaviors are what motivate you. Better understanding yourself and how you relate to others will not only improve you as a person, but also help you advance your professional career, making you a stronger leader, a better team builder, and increasing your sales. Berkman. Better leaders, better teams, better careers. One assessment.
Okay, so just to harken back to the question of why, in what context we would use assessment, is there anyone who wishes to make an input at this stage? Very good, thank you. Was it Andrea? Was it Andrea? I think it was. It helps us to understand ourselves and to find areas of improvement. But we could also think of it in a more positive way, where it can help us to identify our strengths. And very often, that's the approach managers take by saying, well, you know, I apply assessment tool because you're having a problem, but assessment tools can help people to see what their strengths are. And that's one of the attributes of the Berkman method, that it could help you to identify your strengths. So very quickly, I'm still not sure how much time I have left because I wasn't tracking. So, okay, I still have 15 minutes. So basically, included in this presentation, we have an example, and just to do it by a kind of deduction, where we have a sample, right? I can see that it's not very, very clear, but just, you know, the video talked about interests. The video talks about our energies, what we like to do, and so on. So what if you were, if I were working with you with a Berkman, this is basically a section of what you would be seeing in your question, in your, I'm sorry, in your, as a result of several questions that you would answer online, and I would help to produce these results for you. But as the video says, the Berkman helps you to see what interests you demonstrate at work and at home. So it is useful for personal relationships, and it's also useful for your, you know, relationships at work, how you show up. It helps you to discover what behaviors others notice about you. As I mentioned earlier, articulating your unique strengths and opportunities, and you can explore your career interests with scientifically backed data. The Berkman it's occupational. You can use it in the office. And, you know, if you wanted to decide what careers you should follow, it also helps you because in terms of the interest that you have, usually, well, for many times people do things, they get involved in careers which are not necessarily what they love. And lots of times the careers usually show up at retirement when we pursue our passions. So here, just very quickly to tell you that the Berkman has what you call a color key, okay? So you have the red, which represents, you know, if you're a doer, green, largely if you're a great communicator, blue, you spend a lot of time thinking, orange or yellow, analyzer. And these colors, so you would get, this is what is called a map, a Berkman map, and it would tell you using various, they have symbols, the diamonds, you have asterisk, circles. Those tell you exactly in which of these quadrants you fall. And as you can see, there are various shades on this map. So even if you, let's say you fall in blue, you'd need to, the diamond, which represents your behavior, would have to be in this deep blue for you to be considered having all the attributes that, according to the Berkman map, you know, that are attributed to blue. But because of the varying shades here, what it really means is that nobody is that static. And therefore, you could have various attributes from the different colors here, depending on where it falls. The symbols are basically a diamond, a asterisk. So the usual behavior would be shown by a diamond, your interests with an asterisk. So here, this person has what you call blue interests. And usually there are some definitions for if you have blue interests, what those are. And we have here what you call, over here, we call them components. And we won't go into too many details, but just basically to tell you that it tells you how you are, you know, are you sociable? Are you somebody energetic if you have something to do? You know, you're a go-getter. I'm a little like that myself, and I get in trouble with family members and friends because, you know, I'm a doer. And I usually, once I decide I want to do something or, you know, I'm doing something, and if I'm doing it with someone else, then I'm pushing them, you know, where's your part, that kind of thing. And then emotional energy is, you know, exactly how you are with, you know, how you show. Do you demonstrate a lot of your emotional energy in, you know, with your relationships? Self-conscious when you talk to people, do you just blurt out what you want and it doesn't matter? Assertiveness, you know, it relates to people who are maybe in higher levels than you are. How do you relate to them? Are you shy? Insistence, if you have something to do you go at it? Do you keep at it? Or do you lose interest early? Incentives, it's more how you relate to rewards. There are some people, and if you notice, it's the green, because the green, you know, it's highly people who are communicative and so on. And usually people who fall in the green quadrant, there are people who end up pretty much they are in sales. And you see here, these two, the restlessness and the incentives, they are green. So usually the coding are also related to these symbols over here, which are components.